Nutanix Cloud Interlock podcast with your host, Michael Carr.
Welcome back to the Nutanix Cloud Interlock podcast. Great to have you here as we guide you on how to get hybrid cloud done right. Today with me is someone very, very important from AWS across the region. Please join me to welcome Corrie Briscoe. Corrie, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
How's Partner Summit been across the region?
It's been amazing. I think we've done 11 cities in 6 weeks. It's been super exciting. There's definitely, I think, some energy in the market at the moment.
It really feels like it's coming alive again at the minute. And I think on the back of sort of AI enhancements and the go-to-market there, how are you seeing the partner ecosystem embrace that whole new trend around AI?
Yeah, as I say, I think there's a lot of excitement, not only around AI and what it can enable for our customers, our mutual customers, but really as you think as big as possible, how can we transform whole industries?
Yeah.
And more, I think, across our customer base, what we're starting to see is that traditional sort of migration work that our partners have become super good at doing and experts in doing lift and shift migrations is now moving to modernisation.
Our traditional partner base here at Nutanix is very much in that frame. They're used to dealing either from a resell or a VAR or an MSP perspective around, on-premises hardware refresh and traditional MSP style work. How does AWS help them evolve and take that next step to becoming a modernisation partner and onboarding the ecosystem?
It's a really good question. And as we think about those more traditional partners in our AWS partner network, we think about a number of things, and we have a number of programs to make it easier for partners making that transition. The first really starts with becoming a registered partner as part of our AWS partner network. I think in this region alone, we have something like close to 30,000 plus partners in the network. They've each defined their own pathway based on their differentiation and skills and perhaps even customer incumbency. And then they've followed a pathway, and we make it easy for partners to build that expertise through training pathways and obviously our specialisation and competency programs as well.
And I think the big thing as well with AWS, obviously for us and obviously something we echo here at Nutanix is, around customer first. And that's what we're always based on. So the competencies from AWS inside that partner network are really aligned to delivering customer outcomes. It's not just a checkbox to say, well, I've done this or I've got this subscription. It's really based on that foundation.
Think about the core of it. I think it's a shared customer obsession. Customer obsession is pretty core to how AWS thinks about our business, how we build mechanisms, how we hire, how we engage. And nothing could be more true of our partnerships as well. We work backwards from our customer needs to deeply understand what are their requirements, where are they at in their cloud transformation journey, and then how do we accelerate through the use of partnerships. Yeah,
and so not really difficult to get onboarded. AWS make a heap of resources available in terms of training and people to come and guide you on that process. And as MSP partners and other partners are looking to take the next steps and embrace an AI competency or a modernization competency, AWS are there to help them along the way.
Yeah. We have a whole heap of capabilities that we bring to market. I think what's even more unique to AWS as I think about that MSP journey where you may be taking large customer estates and moving them to cloud.
Now, Corrie, there's obviously a lot of speculation from analysts across all sectors. Oh, we're going to repatriate, or, going to cloud is really expensive. Migrations can be costly. Migrations can be timely. It's going to introduce risk. Obviously, someone like yourself and me, we've guided hundreds of customers moving into the cloud over the last years. What's your sort of soundbite on that? How do you take that?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to recognise that the complexity is there. And I think talking about analysts, depending on which one or which body of research that you're reading, it could be anywhere up to sort of 80% of enterprise workloads are still left to migrate to the cloud, which we see as a tremendous opportunity.
It is, yes.
But when you think about what's left to migrate, it tends to be the more complex applications. And whilst we recognise the complexity, after doing this for years, you start to see patterns and you start to see best practice as well in how we can help customers really realise the value of cloud and unlock that value. As we talked about, the Migration Acceleration Program really brings together industry-leading IP, really taken from those patterns that we've observed over dealing with millions of customers across the globe. And then secondly, our competency program. When you think about that competency program, what that does for a customer is it provides them assurance of the person that's going to be helping me through this migration has the skills required and they've also done this before, which is increasingly important when you're thinking about moving these enterprise workloads. And we continue to see that customers are getting huge cost savings out of their migration to cloud. I think as I looked across some of the numbers recently, they're getting about a 66% cost saving in their infrastructure costs when they do this well. But they're also looking at sort of a 77% increase when they migrate to AWS, which is interesting. And I think more and more as well, it's about agility. Like how do I drive my next evolution of growth when I think about my business? And this is where you start to get into things like generative AI enabling a lot more agility and innovation in your business.
And how do you take advantage of that? I'm gonna come back to that one because I think there's two. So the Migration Acceleration Program and the other one I talk about is a well-architected framework. And there's two words out of those two programs I like to focus on. So acceleration out of the MAP program, because if you start taking piecemeal individual applications into the cloud one at a time, it's going to take you a long time. It's not going to be really cost effective. You're not going to get the productivity gains. So I think that's really important when you're designing the whole migration. And the other one is in the well-architected framework, because you can design an architecture on premises or in the cloud or hybrid, but if it's not done well by partners with competency and people with experience, whether you're running that infrastructure on premises or anywhere, it's going to be inefficient and it's going to cost you more.
100%. And we've seen customers and partners that have made those mistakes over time, but those partners that really lean into those two really methodologies that we have are driving faster customer success, and our customers are realising value faster, which is what we want at the end of the day. Yeah,
and that's where the Nutanix partnership with AWS really makes a lot of sense. We've seen customers needing to accelerate, whether that's because of something happening in the on-premises world. They're saying, well, I've only got 6 months. I need to move a lot more workloads than I had anticipated. And I need to run some at the edge, and they're regulated. They can't move away from there. Together, I think we have a really strong story as to say, well, we can meet the accelerated timelines that you need. We're going to do it safely and without risk, and we're all within the well-architected framework, and that's how we're going to sort of guarantee your success. Yeah, and then I think more and more as well, we're starting to see specialised services. So, I mean, Nutanix is a great example of that with your NC2 service on AWS. That's a capability that you've built especially for the organisations that want to take those more traditional workloads to cloud. And where they may have some constraints around their VMware estate as well. Yeah, exactly. And they may not have the either knowledge or expertise to go through and transform that many workloads. So obviously the biggest productivity gains people are going to get is by moving the right workloads into the right new technology set. If you're trying to pigeonhole everything into, say, containers or serverless, it's probably not going to get the outcome that you expected. 100%. Going back now to our AI touch point, if organizations are looking to do something different, but I always say it's easy just to start small, and cloud is the perfect estate to go and do that. But if they continue going down the route that they're going, want to be really risk adverse, what are your thoughts around that? How do they approach? I think more and more organizations need to
almost be concerned with getting left behind. I think generative AI is accelerating, and actually we see it accelerating our customers' cloud transformation. And you may be in some of these more conservative industry sectors, but the reality is your competitors are now leveraging technology for their competitive differentiation. So I think more and more it's around a concern around being left behind than it is around doing the right thing in a lot of ways. I also think when you think about a cloud transformation as well, quite often people just think around the technology transformation and what does that mean for our business? How do I pick my cloud platform? But more and more within our customers, we really see that a successful cloud transformation really needs to be enabled through the intersection of three things: the people in your business and the culture, the process, and then the technology as well. And when those three things come together, we see not only an acceleration of your cloud transformation, that we see some really innovative ways and disruptive ways that organisations are going to business.
Definitely an interesting point. I often talk a lot about the bimodal operations and what that can have as a sort of detrimental effect on an organisation when you've got, say, a new team that's designing everything over here, but the other team's been running everything on-prem for, say, 10 years, and there's just no intersect over. And the partners play a really key role in that, either bringing together those two teams and helping out on an organizational structure, or helping out from here's what a practice needs to look like moving forward, or they simply say, we're going to build what your new estate's going to look like while you onboard, bring all those teams together and upskill. Yeah,
and you see, I think, all forms of that within our AWS partner network, and that's really where partners are starting to specialize as well. What role do you want to play with your customer? And I think getting back to that sort of 30,000 plus network members, really the reality is you can specialize and partner for those skills that you may not want to build to really help your customer on that journey.
Definitely seeing more of, rather than just have one traditional partner doing everything, we're seeing multiple partners now engaging for the same customer.
I think the evolution of the partner network and just partnering in general is becoming far more agile in its construct.
Why would a customer who's contemplating going into cloud look at those programs? What is it going to mean for them?
Yeah, I think when customers are looking for someone to go and help them anywhere in their business, what they're looking for is a surety, and they're looking for mitigation of risk in a lot of ways, and also acceleration. Like, I think it's all those three pieces that come together when a customer is looking for a business partner. And when they pick an AWS partner or someone in our partner network, really what they're getting is assurance that that partner has capability and has driven customer success through our competency program. We also make it easier to procure and find solutions through our AWS marketplace. We have thousands of listings now on that marketplace, allowing one of the broadest selections of products in the market today.
How have you seen that change? I remember when we first sort of launched Marketplace throughout the region, it's been changed significantly across, Australia and Japan, and I saw an announcement last week in Korea. How have you seen that evolution and uptake?
Yeah, you will have seen a number of announcements that we've made over the past 3 months really, that see an acceleration of our internationalization. You see now local currency being launched in a number of our countries across APJ, Asia Pacific and Japan. And you're now seeing more and more local partners as well come on to the marketplace, whether that be through the construct of them having a product or service that they want to take to market through the marketplace, or as well as our CPPO partners, which are really services partners that are working with those product partners to take propositions to market at scale.
At scale, yeah. So we've got things like CPPO through Marketplace that lets you bundle ISV software as well as your end partner that's going to be delivering the services. There's accreditation from AWS on the partner side, so they know that what they're getting is going to be delivered. It conforms with the framework for success for the customer. So really setting up the customer to say, yeah, we can start here, and then you've got someone trusted to go with. Any other call outs for those traditional running customers on premises today? I say it's really easy to get started with AWS. It's really easy to get started with Nutanix.
I think like the biggest thing that I would say to a customer is just throw us one of your biggest challenges in your business. And it's always amazing to me how we can bring together with our partners the right capabilities to really go and help you solve that. I think identifying that problem or opportunity, it could be a large opportunity in your business, is really the first place to start.
Yeah. Just pick one and just make a start.
Pick one.
You don't need to 7R your entire organization to make the first toe in the water for cloud.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Customer throwing a big challenge at you from a bank or something like that can be, I don't know, to me, easy. What about for, say, a mid-sized customer, someone who just says, hey, I'm running 400 VMs on premises today. I really want to take advantage of, say, 2 AI services in AWS. How would the approach be different for a customer of that size?
I think even medium-sized organisations have their preferred business partners, and we see MSPs playing a big part in sort of, I think, being strategic business advisors to your technology transformation. So it doesn't really matter how small an organisation you are or how large you are. I think it's leveraging your trusted business advisors, identifying that problem, and then leveraging some of our package solutions.
I was in Marketplace the other day and I noticed under the Nutanix page, there are about 4 or 5 partner solutions with Nutanix software in there that were saying, oh, we're going to migrate you from VMware on premises into Nutanix on AWS. And here's the standard offering. I didn't even know who these partners were. So I think the flexibility, if you're going down that route, is amazing.
Exactly. And I mean, those CPPO partners as well have the stamp of approval from Nutanix that says this partner delivers the quality that we require for our customers.
And to your point around that primary challenge, coming at it from, say, a 10,000 seat enterprise as opposed to a mid-sized sort of organization or company, even a small one, we say, hey, bank, tell us your biggest problem and we'll solve it together. For a small organization, you're still going to have something that's pressing. Maybe it's a license renewal. Maybe it's, I don't want to pay co-location fees anymore.
Exactly.
Maybe it's, I'm spending too much time managing all the switches and the hardware on premises today when I really want to get an AI service or something up and running. So you will have that one challenge.
When you think about the Asia Pacific and Japan region, we have one of the largest communities of small and medium businesses housed here in the region.
Yep.
And it's also one of our fastest growing segments as well, as we think about those organisations that recognise the agility that they can drive and how they can almost have the bigger organisations capabilities at a lower cost model.
Yeah, it's funny watching that pivot now, especially I think throughout Asia, we see it a lot more where the smaller digital native startups are coming up with these really mature models and ways of working. And the enterprises are coming back and saying, oh, what are they doing over there? How did they get this service to run?
Yeah, we see many examples where those smaller organisations are really disrupting industries and how you may think about, I guess, 3-5 years out and the digital services that you may want to offer as well.
Yeah, for sure. Corrie, thank you very much for joining me here today. We touched on some great stuff, including how partners get certified to be able to accelerate their journey as to moving forward with cloud tech, and for customers as well, having the trust of the partnership certification and being able to transact through Marketplace. I think it's a really good time to sort of make that journey and start moving forward.
And the time is now. We're just getting started, as we like to say.
Thanks for joining us again for this episode of the Nutanix Cloud Interlock podcast. Corrie and I here are very excited to help you on your journey to getting hybrid cloud done right. For everything that we spoke about on today's episode, make sure you check out all the links below.
This is the Nutanix Cloud Interlock podcast